What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we got a top 10 of James Taylor, his mid-period top 10 from 1977 to 1988, brought to us by a friend, longtime patron, and supporter of the channel, Joseph. Thank you, Joseph. I don't have a lot of James Taylor up. We got a couple song reactions. Both Trey and I have listened to Sweet Baby James, and neither one of us cared for it very much, which I know is so critically acclaimed. So this will be interesting to jump back into Mr. Taylor. I do have a Fire and Rain reaction up that I just did because I wanted to. Didn't even do it for a patron, just because I love that song. It's one of my favorite songs ever. So there's definitely some stuff in James that I like. So let's see what we got here. As always, Joseph gave us a great write-up, and I'm going to let you know up front, the music's not going to be in this video because it'll get copyright blocked. So if you want to watch the whole thing with the music, click the Vimeo link below and you can follow along with me. So let's see what Joseph has to say. He says, JT's career has had two main phases. The first in which he is almost single-handedly credited with giving birth to the genre of the sensitive, confessional singer-songwriter and becoming a bona fide superstar hitmaker in both the singles and albums charts as a result. And the second, from the mid-80s on, where he settled comfortably into elder statesman status, maintaining a busy touring schedule while gaps between new album releases increased and radio play shifted almost entirely to adult contemporary stations. Those later albums maintained a consistent level of popularity, with most eventually reaching platinum status or better, while in 2020 he became the first artist to have scored at least one U.S. top 10 album in 6 consecutive decades. The list straddles those two eras and covers his first 5 albums for Columbia, who nabbed his services in 1977, to the dismay of Warner Brothers, though a year or two later they'd get the revenge by poaching Paul Simon. I will also flash forward a few years at times to take in live versions of several tracks that for me are even stronger than the recordings included on his 1993 live release, the imaginatively titled James Taylor Live. I'm sure they did a little brain session powwow on that one. All I found on him, he's a 6-time Grammy Award winner. He's inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame way back in 2000. He's one of the best-selling music artists of all time, having sold more than 100 million albums worldwide. He has 17 to 20 studio albums, depending on how you cover Christmas albums and covers and albums and however you want to count those. He achieved his breakthrough in 1970 with the aforementioned Fire and Rain, which went to number 3 in the U.S. and had his first number 1 hit in 1971 with his recording of You've Got a Friend, written by Carole King in the same year, although most people of this generation know it from Toy Story, that song. His 1976 Greatest Hits album was certified diamond and sold more than 12 million copies, and no one does that nowadays, boys and girls. In the U.S. alone, those 12 million copies. Following his 1977 album, JT, which is going to appear on this list, he has retained a large audience over the decades. Every album that he's released from 77 to 2007 sold over 1 million copies. That's really amazing. He achieved his first number 1 album in the U.S. in 2015 with his recording Before This World. Can't believe he never had a number 1 hit before then, but let's jump into this list. See it below number 10, That's Why I'm Here, from the album of the same name in 1985. This song was written by James. Joseph says, the song that opens and largely sums up JT's second phase, where he's happy being that guy who does Fire and Rain. By this point, he and Carly Simon had divorced. He was in a new relationship. He'd also finally conquered the many addictions, primarily methadone and heroin, he'd been battling for years. It's thought that one of the key factors in this was the shock of John Belushi's death, as referenced in the second verse. And if you don't know about James Taylor's life, I invite you to read about it. I've read about it. I've listened to him on a podcast he did last year, about a year and a half ago, entitled James Taylor Comes Clean. He had a heck of a life, man. The fact the guy's still alive after all the stuff that he was addicted to and went through is kind of amazing. But, wow, what a serious, somber note I turned that on, huh? I'm going to have the lyrics up as always, which is necessary, especially for a singer-songwriter. Thanks again, Joseph. That's Why I'm Here. Very good lyrics, very introspective lyrics, and it's kind of a tale of two songs. At first, I didn't really care for it. Not really my style, my sound that I enjoy too much, but man, a tremendously written song and very transparent. A friend comes to him, wants to borrow his trucks, got no money. I said, that's why I'm here. Got no better reason. That's why I'm standing here. That's why I'm here. You get little female backings in there. And then John's gone, found dead. He dies high. He's brown bread, which just means slang for being dead, talking about John Belushi. Later said to have drowned in his bed after the laughter, the wave of the dead. It hits us like a ton of wet. And he kind of just keeps talking about that. And Then he gets in the chorus again, but then he goes, this is an IOU. I reckon I owe you one now. Listen, Wendy, and listen, Gloria. This will be better tomorrow. Wendy is Peter Asher's second wife, Asher often being Taylor's producer. Gloria is Taylor's co-manager, Gloria Boyce. So he is actually calling out people, apologizing. Then he goes, fortune and fame, such a curious game. Perfect strangers can call you by name, right? Because everybody knows you. You don't know them, but they're all calling you. That would be surreal, especially going through that day after day, year after year. Pay good money to hear Fire and Rain again and again and again. So maybe he's questioning his life a little bit, and then he figures out, you know what? That's why I'm here, man. Because he says later on, I break into a grin from ear to ear, and suddenly it's perfectly clear. That's why I'm here. So really like the lyrics on that one. The song itself grew on me a little bit. Now, number 9 actually wasn't written by James. It was written by Jimmy Jones and Otis Blackwell all the way back in 1959. We got Handyman, you see it below, off the JT album in 1977. Joseph says, Taylor's debut single for Columbia and his third highest charting ever went to 4 in the U.S. But as with most of his biggest hits, it's a cover. Kind of a paradoxical situation for your quintessential singer-songwriter to be in. But whatever. This performance helped see JT match Sweet Baby James as his biggest selling studio album with triple platinum sales. It also netted him his second Grammy for Best Pop Vocal Performance. The only thing I found, Culture Club was accused of taking the song Karma Chameleon from this work. So I'm going to have to hear that and see how Culture Club gets into stealing this song from 1959 and from our man Sweet Baby James. Handyman. I almost thought I knew that song. I don't think I do. The Come is where the Karma Chameleon, they thought that they took that from. I don't know, man. That's kind of a stretch that they ripped this song off for that, but I don't know. Anyway, to this song, basically he's a handyman. Not the handyman you think doing stuff around your house. He's the love handyman. I'm handy with love and I'm no fool. I fix broken hearts. I know that I truly can. So if your heart's broken, should need repair, then I'm the man to see. Here's the main thing that I want to say. I'm busy 24 hours a day. I fix broken hearts. I know that I truly can. And then the chorus is that come, yeah. Oh, now they'll come running to me. So not a lot to the song because it was written in the 50s, 1959. But James delivers it flawlessly. I'm sure this one will end up maybe on my honorable mention. Don't know if it'll end up on my phase, but he sounds great. And it sounds like a tailor-made song for James Taylor. No pun intended. So surprised that you would definitely believe he'd written this if you didn't know it. Now up to number 8, I Will Follow. We're going to check out the live version, but written by James, originally from Dad Loves His Work in 1981. Live version from the songs we are taking the live are the James Taylor Live, as we mentioned earlier, in 1993. Joseph says a strong album cut from his third Columbia album, but the live version has to be the go-to, not at least for Arnold McCullers' vocal contributions at the song's close. I Will Follow. Joseph was not blowing smoke. I'll tell you, Arnold McCullers' vocal contributions at the end are really the highlight of the song for me. It's fine. I mean, nice harmonizing in there on some of the parts. And, I've been with my wife, Gina, for like 27 years. Yeah, 27. A little longer. I don't know if I've ever been this much in love as the love that James is going for here, but it's good. It's good writing, growing slowly like a tree. Someday soon, darling, I love you, I love you. Soft and gentle, full summer moon, set my soul free, thank you, baby. Drifting like a cloud in the sky, I can see myself from high above. And in the bridge, oh, half the future and half the past, they're waiting inside your eyes. Yes, and after all this, to last and last, 'tis at last, it's your time to rise. And, I'm bound to follow you, the stuff in the outro. I mean, not necessarily my kind of song, but Arnold's stuff at the end was good. Up to number 7, you see it below. Letter in the Mail. James wrote this from Never Die Young in 1988. Joseph says a eulogy for small town America, specifically Taylor's hometown of Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Joseph puts in parentheses, and no doubt somewhat less celebrated there than Carolina in my mind. All right. Letter in the Mail. So here's what I'm learning. Okay, look. This song has great lyrics. I'm going to get into those in a minute. What I don't like about most of these songs so far, actually you might even use the four-letter H word, hate, a little bit, especially on this song, is the arrangement, right? We've taken these great lyrics and set them to this adult contemporary arrangement, which I know was the thing, right? And adult contemporary music, I'm 50 years old, should be cued to me. I didn't like it back in 1988. I don't like it now, but I get it. I know there's people who like it. If you're watching this review, you probably do like it. And I think the world of Joseph. He has great musical taste, and obviously he likes it. But so I know I'm in the minority here, but the organ, the percussion, the drum beat, it's just too, I don't know. But the lyrics are great and really does describe how a small town, or Chapel Hill's not a super small town, just kind of fades away over the years, right? And so he's reminiscing on this going back, like his memories of it and going back. I guess second verse, I guess it never was much to look at, just a one-horse town. The kind of place young people want to leave today. Storefronts pretty much boarded up. Main Street pretty much closed down. Sadness, right? Oh, the church bell still rings on Sunday. Old folks still go. The young ones listen on the radio. Saturday night, nothing but a stray dog running wild like nobody's child. There's nothing going on. And little by little, light after light, that's how it died. They say you never go home again. That's no lie. And then we get into why the title is. It's like a letter in the mail to a brother in jail. It's a matter of time until you can do a little bit better time. So just the rest of the stuff, he's going to drop off Annie and the baby, maybe drive alone, pay my last respects to a time that was all but gone. So it's very well written. I don't think it can end up on my favorites because I can't stand the arrangement, as I might have mentioned here. But really, probably my favorite songwriting so far. Now we're going to dial it back 11 years, right? From the latest song on this to tied for the earliest on here. We got Terra Nova, written by James and Carly Simon from JT in 1977. Joseph says, throughout their marriage, James and Carly regularly contributed each other's albums, and this is one of my favorite collaborations of theirs. Carly's contribution is the gorgeous Coda, written as a lullaby for their daughter. All right. Terra Nova, named after a boat, because we were there, we were sailing on the Terra Nova, sailing for the setting sun, sailing for the new horizon. May this day show me an ocean. I ought to be on my way. So the point is not the ship, it's a nice name. Joseph was definitely right. The stuff with Carly at the end was fantastic. Really enjoyed that. I don't want to be a broken record. Not crazy about the arrangement. This was 11 years before in 77, but it's all right. I can live with it. I got a letter from a dear friend of mine, the story of a spiritual awakening. She spoke of her love returning in kind. She let me know that she'd be waiting. So, come on, James, step up. And I should be on my way now, walking across the floor, reaching for the door, on my way now. But here I sit. Country fool that I am, my elbow on my knee and my chin in my hand, my mind in the gutter and my eye on the street, holed up in a cave of concrete, and I ought to be on my way now. And then talking about missing his mother and his father. He owes his brothers because his parents divorced, and he can hear his sister singing. They all went into the music industry. And then the very last part, just a little lullaby for their daughter, sung by Carly, was really good. So good offering there. Now we're the top half of this list. You see it below. Her Town 2, James, J.D. Souther, Waddy Watchell, and James and J.D. are actually singing this one together from the Dad Loves His Work album in 1981. Joseph says this was Taylor's last major hit single and the only JT song after Fire and Rain that me dear old mom will admit to liking. She hates JT, and he was basically the only artist that was banned from playing as a teenager, a situation I find highly amusing in retrospect. I don't know, man. Maybe adult contemporary music should be banned in every home so it doesn't continue to grow. I'm just joking. This song did go to 11 in the U.S., by the way. The subject of Her Town 2 is the aftermath of a breakup of a long-term relationship. Taylor has called it, quote, a tender, well-meaning song about how difficult it was to be friends with both parties after the breakup. Since Taylor's marriage to Carly Simon was breaking up at the time, there was speculation that the song was about their relationship. However, James has stated that the song was about, quote, the ex of a mutual friend. It might have been, it might not have been. You know how artists are. They're not going to really tell you sometimes when it's about their ex, and I get that. It's kind of a personal thing. Something tells me I know this song, but we'll find out. Her Town 2, definitely knew. I knew the chorus of this. 1981, I'm 9 or 10 years old, depending on when it came out. So hearing stuff on the radio, definitely knew the chorus of this. The story is, it's a small town. It's told from the ex-wife's perspective. She gets divorced and people talking about her, finding out her friends really aren't her friends, and all that sad stuff that happens to people when relationships break up and people have to choose sides. Not that you really have to choose sides, but people just do that. And, it used to be your town, it used to be my town too. JD does add something to this. I like that dichotomy. You never know until it all falls down. Somebody loves you, darling, somebody still loves you. True friends, right? He called her up to let her know, look, you're not alone. So nice little smooth number there. Now we're up to number 4, Up on the Roof. We're going to look at the live version, written by Jerry Goffin and Carole King. JT's studio version from Flag in 1979. Of course, the live version from James Taylor Live in 1993. Joseph says Flag was a follow-up to the highly successful JT, but while it hit the top 10, it was widely viewed as a major letdown, both artistically and commercially. It's okay, but it's definitely missing something. It's no big surprise that this Drifters cover from 1962 was the only hit cold from it. But again, the live version is superior, which is why that's what we're listening to. It went to number 28 in the US. It was the lead single off this album. Up on the Roof, I gotta say, it's 1993 that this album is from. I mean, James sounds fantastic, studio quality. The musicianship is great on here. Just a nice little tune. I mean, the basic premise of it is, look, life is getting crazy. He climbs the stairs. He gets up on the roof because at least you get away from everybody and all the hustle and bustle. You can have peace up on that roof. Just don't fall off of it or don't jump off of it. Towards the end of the song, he's inviting his wife or significant other. Get up there and see what I'm saying. Get a free show from the stars and everything else. So just a nice little tune, man. Now we're up to number 3, Never Die Young, from the album Never Die Young in 1988, written by James. Joseph says, in JT's own words, this song is written from the point of view of someone who has given up and is looking at the lives of 2 young people who aren't caught up in the morass of life as the narrator knows it. Quote, what other hearts be broken, what other dreams run dry, what our golden ones sail onto another land beneath another sky. It's a sad song, but also hopeful and celebratory. It did go to number 80 in the US. Never Die Young. Once again, a really well-written song. I'm not going to beat the arrangement stuff to death. You know my thoughts on this, and this is from the album in 1988, the Never Die Young album, that I wasn't too crazy about the other arrangement on the other song. But basically the story of this young couple who are really tight, and everyone's jealous of them. And that's really what it's about. I mean, people, oh, they're not quite tough enough for this town. They're always together. People run them down because, people that run you down, usually it's because they're jealous of you, right? They have some sort of issue inside of them, no self-confidence, whatever, and they're running you down. And eventually they get out of town. They take off. I mean, for a second I thought, did they die? But now our golden ones sail on to another land beneath another sky. Hold them up. So encourage these people, man. Help them. Don't run them down. But I mean, what do most people do in this world? And I think it's gotten worse over the last few years. They run people down. They want to be at you for what you're not instead of what you are, man. So anyway, into my soapbox there, but had a good message to that song. Now we're up to number 2. You see it below. Your Smiling Face will go off the live version in 1993, but original version was from JT in 1977. Joseph says, the studio recording became his second top 20 hit from his Columbia debut and is great in its own right, but his band really bring it to life in this version, especially guitarist Michael Landau, the guy you call when Steve Lukather isn't available, Toto, of course, and another alumni of high school band Still Life with Luke and Steve Porcaro. I found many think it was about his then wife, Carly Simon, but he said it was actually about their then 3-year-old daughter, so I've got to read the lyrics to see what I think about that interpretation, because I do know this song. Your Smiling Face, like I said, I definitely know this song. Enjoyed that. Great rendition. Once again, I gotta say, he just sounds fantastic, man. Looking at the lyrics, I can see how people would think it was for Carly, but I could definitely see where it could be for your daughter, man. And that's kind of how I interpreted it, the lens I was reading it through. It could be either or. Having a daughter of my own, she's not 3, she's 15, but it doesn't matter, man. There's something different about a daughter for a father, man. Just melts your heart, man. Just a different place in your heart for him. So really resonated with that because I was looking through it, through that lens. Of course, isn't it amazing a man like me can feel this way? Tell me how much longer it will grow stronger every day. Oh, how much longer. It's going to be with a loved one, but it can also be for your child who you think, when they're born, you think, I couldn't love you any more than I possibly do. But then you do over time. And then the outro, like, no one can tell me I'm doing wrong today. Whenever I see you smile at me, no one can tell me that. Tell me that I'm doing wrong today. Whenever I see your smiling face my way. That smile, man, just makes all the other issues go away, especially when they're little, like James is talking about right into here, the 3-year-old. Well, drum roll, please. There's really no drum roll because you see it revealed below. Only a Dream in Rio, written by James from the That's Why I'm Here album in 1985. Joseph says, many of the others were close, but this is the only track I could have at number 1. Again, JT himself can guide us through this one. Quote, I had gone into yet another rehab to kick methadone after a couple of really nasty jackpots, which is where you humiliate yourself and the people you love by effing up. I tried to detox at a place in Connecticut, but I fell back and continued to use. It wasn't until saxophonist Michael Brecker got me involved with the 12 steps that I got serious. But even after I got clean, I didn't know whether there was life on the other side of addiction for me. I wasn't sure I could write anymore either. Then I went down to Rio de Janeiro to play the Rock and Rio Festival. Brazilian songwriter Gilberto Gil had left a guitar for me to play. I walked on stage and 300,000 people knew my songs. They have this tradition of singing along in Brazil that is so loud. And if you haven't watched anything from Brazil at concert, go watch anything. It's just fantastic, man. And so in tune and so in time. It's sort of like when they pick up a song and they know and sing it back to you. It's extremely powerful. So I was like 2 feet off the ground coming off the stage. Really felt as though I'd landed on my feet. It was a turning point in my life. Wow, what a story. Only a Dream in Rio did a nice job at the start and finish of almost setting that Brazilian atmosphere in your head. And just what Joseph talked about and what JT talked about. It's a real autobiographical song, kind of just talking about what he went through, a little Portuguese in there that I interpreted for you with some help, by the way, of the lyrics being interpreted for me on the computer screen, Portuguese into English. And, I mean, that's really, but it's more than the shining sea, more than the streaming green. That's how he finishes it. More than the hidden hills, more than the concrete cries, more than a distant land over a shining sea, more than a hungry child, more like another time, born of a million years, more than a million years. So just a shout out because, as he said, it changed his life and kind of gave him some retribution and a little bit of a new lease on life after all the mistakes he had made. So now we're going to go to my favorite tracks. I got one honorable mention, Handyman, all the way back at number 9, the number 9 song, which was a song that was written way back when in 1959. And then my 2 faves, they're 2 songs that I know, so I guess that skewed it, obviously. I mean, I try not to let that skew it, but Her Town 2 would be a fave, and so would Your Smiling Face, that song. Man, now that I look at it with It's For Your Daughter, man, it takes on a different place in my heart. So enjoy those. Enjoy this list. James Taylor, I told you coming in this, he wasn't my thing. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm always honest. He's still not my thing, right? The adult contemporary side of it, it just doesn't resonate with me. Really good songwriter. I get it why people like it. It's not any sort of horrible music or anything. I don't know a lot about James, so this helped fill in some of the gaps. So I always appreciate it. Always appreciate you, Joseph, and thanks everybody for joining me. If you'd like to support us in any way, as Joseph does, check out the Patreon link below or the Patreon link in the end screen. Also, let me know what your favorite songs were on here. And you big James Taylor fans, you can tell me the error of my ways. I can take it. Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, guys, I will see you.